We have no sound. Do we have sound? We have sound. Very good. Ladies and gentlemen, dobro večer. Good evening. Kalispera to all of you. We thank you very much for participating at this important panel. Some of us, as you can see, we have adopted the Syriza style of dressing. Some others not. They will adopt soon, don't worry. Soon they will adopt. My name is Simeon Tsomokos, and I have the honor to represent the Business Council Greece-Serbia, which was established 10 years ago. Mr. Ambassador, welcome. Thank you very much for joining us. The Business Council Greece-Serbia was established in 2005 in Athens with its primarily aim to promote the economic and business relations between Serbia and Greece. We managed to have significant Greek investment from Greece to Serbia. And now we are embarking on perhaps a second wave of Greek companies to invest in Serbia, a subject that we're going to discuss a little later. But of course, we are discussing other issues as well. Trade between the two countries is very, very low. It is only 300 million euros from both countries. We're trying to increase that. I think it is extremely slow and small. And also we're trying to develop tourism development between the two countries. Although we see in Greece more than 1 million Serbs traveling to Greece every summertime and all the year around, only 40,000 Greeks travel to Serbia. We have had the opportunity of having Ms. Jerry, your State Secretary of Tourism, in Athens a few weeks ago. We are planning to have a major delegation of tour operators in Serbia in a couple of months' time in order to promote this. So this is primarily our target as a business council. Let me present you our panelists and our speakers. I have the honor to present to you Mr. Frederick Cohen, who is the president of the Foreign Investors Council, which is a very prominent organization, as you all know. They represent more than 130 plus 30. I would say virtually the majority of all the foreign companies in Greece. And I must admit, Frederick, I have not seen any similar organization in another country. I mean, it is a happy surprise that you have done this in Serbia, and it is very useful. Mr. Philippos Karamanolis, who, as you know, he is the president of the executive board of Eurobank, and at the same time, the president of the Hellenic Business Association of Serbia. I would like to welcome Mr. Giorgio Marchegiani, the new Chief Executive Officer of DDOR Novi Sad. Welcome, Giorgio.
Thank you.
Welcome to Kopaonik. Welcome to Serbia.
And thank you for inviting me here.
And I hope you have a good time. I would like to introduce you, me and Mr. Dejan Janjatovic, the member of the Executive Board of ProCredit Bank, and Mr. Goran Dejanovic, who is part of the management team of EcoSerbia. Before I give the floor to the panelists, let me tell you a few remarks that I think are important for our discussion. And actually, this is primarily my view. Firstly, FDI is a critical factor which can become, as you all know, a driving force for the economic growth of any country. We have seen many examples of this kind during these last years. Secondly, the investors, whether they are corporations or individuals, invest their money where opportunities and potential exist and where they feel a friendly and a welcoming political and business atmosphere. Thirdly, we all know that the competition among the countries to attract foreign investments is very stiff these days. And actually, these days we see regions among the same country competing each other in order to attract foreign investments. As you may know, in Europe, we have more than 20 United States who have regional offices in order to promote investments in their own states in the United States. So the competition, as you know, is all stiff. And it is very hard these days to attract foreign investment for any country. Fourthly, it is evident and true that all countries in Southeast Europe have not modernized to the maximum our economies. We have not introduced key and structural economic reforms. And I think this is absolutely a key for the attraction of foreign investments. It is we have lost valuable time. I mean, in my view, it is extremely important that all countries in this region, and primarily in Serbia, provide, and implement these reforms. Otherwise, it is going to be too late in order to attract foreign investments. Another important factor, in my view, is to follow through and follow up all those important meetings that the Serbian government is doing nowadays. They meet all over, the Prime Minister, the ministers. However, to my humble opinion, we don't see any mechanism which follows up all these kind of meetings. I think there must be an agency, there must be an organization which will follow up persistently all these kind of meetings in order to promote and bring new companies into Serbia. With these thoughts, I would like to open to the floor, and we are going to make 3 to 5 minutes presentation, each of our speakers, and then we're going to open for discussion. Mr. Quen, the floor is yours, please.
Thank you. So first, to come back on what is FIC, just one minute, if you allow me. FIC is gathering 130 members coming from majority from EU, but as well from China, the US, Russia. So this is really an association that is covering the foreign investors in Serbia. We represent almost 18% of the country's GDP altogether. I'm as well the president of Executive Board of Societe Generale Serbia, that is a pretty old investor in this country because we are here for around close to 40 years. Mm-hmm. This being said, the topic of the day is what are the expectations of the foreign investors regarding economic reforms. I would like to come back to a basic point, an investor, whatever foreign or local, but let's say a foreign investor is looking for business, profitable and sustainable business when he decides to go somewhere. Basically, this is what we all are looking for. In order to do so, we need to have a competitive environment, of course. When people come here in order to export after, the competitiveness of the environment is a key. But some of us investors are not exporters, and we need as well to have in our market a sustainable growth in order to make some good, profitable business here. And in order to have it, in order to plan properly our business, we need predictability. It's a very important word for the foreign investors, and I think for all the investors. And we need as well the same level playing field for everybody. And I think I will have the occasion, and my colleagues as well, to come back on this point. What about the economic reforms? I would like to say that with the government, with the Prime Minister, with the Minister of Finance that we heard yesterday, we are speaking the same language. I'm happy to say it. When I'm listening to them, basically they say what I just said. Not only they say it, but as a president of Foreign Investor Council, I would say that the last reforms that have been implemented are really going into the right direction. The labor law is covering approximately 80% of FIC recommendation that we were, recommending, saying for years already. I don't know if everybody knows that FIC is having what we call the White Book. And in this White Book that we publish every year, we are listing, it's a pretty big book, we are listing the recommendation in a certain number of fields, including labor, it was the case. And this new labor law also answers to a lot of this recommendation. It was the first time for years. We were pretty as well happy to see the new construction law that here as well fits with most of our recommendation, even if some important ones are not there, the conversion, for example. But as well the bankruptcy law and a lot of new things, new laws that came. This is definitely going into the right direction. Then, of course, first because we are certainly demanding, and secondly because the country is still in a transition path, unfortunately, there are still a lot of things to do. And in terms of, let's say, main recommendation that FIC is having, and I think we'll have the occasion to go back with the questions after into details. Of course, one that is very important is the macroeconomic stability. The government worked already a lot on this in terms of reforms, but there are still things to do. The second thing is to continue the harmonization with the EU acquis. First, because this EU acquis is certainly a good, let's say, answer to the need of modernization of a certain number of texts. But on top of that, this is a way. This is a frame and a way. And to follow this way will help the country to modernize definitely, and will give a method as well, and will give hopefully some support. The third thing, and it's really a key for me and for our members, and you already started to mention it, this is definitely what Ambassador Kirby named the follow-through, what I wanted to call the implementation. We are extremely boring at FIC because we repeat that all the time, every year, or even twice a year with our white book and the reality check. But the implementation is really one of the big weaknesses that we are seeing in Serbia when we look at the modernization of the economy and when we look at the reforms. So I think I will have the occasion to come back on this point. And the number 4 in terms of priority that we see, it's a very important one as well. This is, generally speaking, the simplification, the reduction of the administrative burden, cutting the red tape, simplification of our life. We are facing a lot of, forgive me for the word, stupid things coming from very often either old regulation, old laws, or simply because the law or the decrees were not precise enough, stupid interpretation from the administration of what should be done. And I will give you some examples later on, certainly. Each of them are not big, but the accumulation of them are sometimes really an headache. So in short, this is what, as foreign investors at FIC, we're expecting in terms of reforms.
Thank you very much, Frederick. No doubt FIC is doing an extremely constructive work. You have committees. You process, all these findings. I understand you send them to the government. Some of them are adopted, and I wish you all the best. Philippos, would you like to take the floor?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Simeon. Thank you again to the organizers for the invitation. Since I'm here tonight more with my hat of the President of the Hellenic Business Association and less with the head of Eurobank, I would like to take the opportunity and say a few things about the Greek investments in Serbia. First of all, also to mention that Greece is probably one of the very few countries that has 2 private associations without any government support that are promoting the economic ties between Greece and Serbia. So it's the Business Council Greece-Serbia, which is based in Athens, and it has primarily as its members the mother companies of companies who are operating with subsidiaries in Serbia. And there's also the Hellenic Business Association of Serbia, which is locally based in Belgrade. And here we have the local subsidiaries of all the Greek companies and also many other companies that are Serbian and have some connection with Greece or with Greek companies. Now, Serbia and Greece have traditionally very good political and economic relations. There are also a lot of similarities between the people, and there's also the geographic proximity. And because of these reasons, it's clear why Greece is one of the top investors in Serbia, and actually one of the first investors in Serbia, as Greek companies started coming here from the 1990s. They were one of the first ones to realize the potential of Southeastern Europe, when I think companies from other countries, more from Western Europe, were a little bit more weary of coming to the Balkans because they didn't know much about them. Currently, Greece is one of the top 5 investors in Serbia, We have a number of companies in many market segments. First of all, the financial services, where the four banks, Eurobank, Alpha, Piraeus, and National Bank of Greece, as Voivodjanska, have between us around 300 branches and close to 15% of market share in various market segments. We're strong in tourism and leisure. Some of the biggest hotels in Belgrade, the Metropole Palace, the Hyatt, the Excelsior, are Greek.
Yugoslavia.
Hotel Yugoslavia that you mentioned, Simeon, I still have as real estate rather than because it's not operating yet. Yes, so it's Hotel Yugoslavia and the Robne Kuće Beograd, which is also a very big investment, and it's currently also, I'd say, classified as real estate. In media, Perva TV and B92 are of Greek interest. There's Coca-Cola Hellenic, a number of companies in construction, recently in Corridor 10, Greek companies operating. So a very wide spectrum, and we're very pleased that we have a number of market leaders, and in Serbia we're competing in a lot of areas against some of the top foreign companies, and we're very pleased to be very successful and somehow to show the contrast between the competent and professional private sector that we have in Greece and, unfortunately, the less competent public sector that has given us a bad image in recent years. Our experience to date is similar, I think, to what Frederic has mentioned. Overall positive. I think we all feel very welcome by the public and the authorities. Financial performance is mixed. Serbia is not a country, if you don't have a very significant export orientation, is not an easy country to make a good return on capital. The market is still small. I think investments were made with the expectation that the market would grow faster than it has. So currently returns on capital are low, but we have to be patient. Serbia has the advantage that the EU accession is in front of it, so there's going to be this inevitable convergence of the economies, and that is something I think that whoever is patient will take advantage of in the future.
Thank you very much, Philippos. Thank you. Perhaps later we can speak about whether we can expect some more Greek investment in this country. Giorgio, how you view things from Novi Sad?
Thank you.
And as a newcomer, actually.
So thank you so much. My view will be quite different from my predecessor in the sense that myself, I'm new. I'm only 2 months in my job, and also our investment in DDR. We are an Italian insurance group. It is compared with the other recent. We did this investment in 2008, 2009. So we don't have a long history, and we did this investment with the hypothesis that the market would grow very fast. Okay, let me start with some joke. I noticed, being a traveler, I noticed that for this year, the Lonely Planet told that Serbia is one of the 10, let's say, main destination suggested for travel. And preparing this presentation this afternoon by chance, I asked myself, okay, is it going to be true also for foreign investment? The fact that as a tourist destination, this is the case, it means that some work has been made, and I was wondering whether what's the situation on the foreign investment side. Okay, so I was looking what is important to us. Mainly, I don't speak as an association. There are many Italian investment, but I speak in my capacity as a specific foreign investor. And what is important to us and how Serbia scores under these dimensions. So what is important to us is basically 5 points. The last one is really, in reality, the most important, but is the reason why we came here. So I will comment on the first 4. The first one, Frederic already mentioned, the level playing field. I will come back to that. That's really the key point. This is an expression we use in the European Union to mean that among the member states of the Union there should be a fair competition, meaning having similar rules, if not equal rule. In this case, I mean having the same rule as the local competitor. I will specify this. Then clarity of norms. This has been said as well. This is for us very important because if we don't understand our environment, we will quickly withdraw our investment. And the third one is stability of regulation and ability to implement this regulation. I also use this follow-through expression, which is really the ability to implement. And the fourth one is the ability and the timing and, let's say, clarity of law enforcement. Of course, we are in insurance, and you see that our type of factors are quite specific. We are not exporter. We produce for the local market. I want to draw your attention on two of these factors. The first one with an image, I mean, level playing field. I found this one very nice because basically, and not by chance I talk about that. For us, in our specific situation, in our specific industry, this is really important. I think that the levers to achieve this and to go from a skewed field to a flat field is, first of all, privatization, and you will understand what I mean by that. Second is antitrust. Third is, let's say, the ability really to have public tenders on a fair basis. And the fourth is corruption. Nothing of this is new, actually. But I just want to give you as a fresh look from outside Serbia. We look at this issue of level playing field, and we will look at this in the future very, very carefully, and I hope the government will be able to achieve this level playing field for all industries, specifically for ours, but in case for all. Law enforcement. I mean, a number of things has been done in the last times, but law enforcement in insurance is a very important point. This is specific for us, maybe, but probably we will come back in the discussion later. This is really a trigger point of development. So our point is Serbia needs to invest in this infrastructure. And as I was hearing yesterday that there could be some, money available to make some investment in infrastructure, for us, this is an infrastructure. Not only roads, but the justice and the quickness of processes is the key enabler of a market economy. And we think, under this point of view, we also think there is some more to do. So these 2 points among the 5 factors. Then I went to see, I did this very simple, maybe stupid, maybe naive, but from the point of view of somebody coming in, I put together where does Serbia stand on a number of indexes. I don't want to go into detail of these indexes, but what struck me, impressed me, that Serbia, in most of them, is, with the exception of the last one, is about midway. Around the 50% of the considered country, which is interesting because these things are all about economic freedom, corruption, attractiveness. Some of them are very well known, some other are less known. But it's interesting that in the understanding of, let's say, quantitative analysis which is behind that, Serbia is somehow in the middle, which means, in my opinion, that being in a transition, as Frederick was saying, has the good potential to score much higher, and but on the other hand needs to work a lot to go up. One could go in detail, but I just want to say a lot of room for improvement about midway. When we will consider, we are a group which will invest abroad probably, and we will consider these things, then going much more in depth, talking with people, going into our industry, but basically this is the starting point. So on this, one has to say, and has already been said, so I will be very quick on this, a number of big reforms have been done. For us, insurance law is a very important point, but also labor and planning and construction, also important for us as we have a lot of real estate, bankruptcy. and also preparation for public administration. So we recognize that this country and this government has been doing a lot, and with all the caveat that has been said before, we are on the good path. So I think, concluding my very short introduction, I just say that I hope, maybe not in 2016, but in 2020, Serbia will score as #1. So this is the wish with which I leave the floor to the next panelist.
Thank you very much, Georgina. We all share your optimism. I hope one day this will become true. Diana, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you, Simeon. Good evening, everybody. I would like just to share with you only a few words about ProCredit Bank Serbia, and then a bit more about how our German shareholders consider Serbia, how they consider potential of investing and doing business here. ProCredit Bank is, of course, a domestic bank with 100% shareholders from Germany, who invested so far 100 million euros. Our focus, our business policy is basing on three main pillars: supporting and financing SME and corporates, agro-business, and investing in energy efficiency and renewable energy projects. Regarding SMEs and agro-business, we are among leading bank in the market. Regarding energy efficiency projects, so far we invested more than 70 million euros, and we would like to invest more in this area. Regarding our business performance, in the last couple of years, bank has experienced stable growth with good quality of portfolio, with very few problematic loans, with stable and very good ROE. When we discuss with our shareholders about potential in Serbia, we are not only focusing on the banking industry, we are discussing about economic potential, about social potential, about human potential here, and they have a very positive opinion. When we discuss about economic potential, they mainly see this potential coming from this accession to EU, because since we have the banks in Romania and Bulgaria, during this process, banks experienced the strong growth based on the investments in different projects. So they expect that similar things can happen also here in Serbia. Of course, they would like to see that business environment is much better, that it is more friendly to the business community. Sometimes they don't understand why we need so much time to change something, why laws are not synchronized, why they're not implemented. For example, in Germany, government administration is more business friendly. They have attitude to support citizens, to serve citizens and business community, to help them in developing living standards and conditions of doing business, and not vice versa. When we discuss with our shareholders about society, how they see society, they see that there is a great room for improvement, for developing modern society with strong and good values. They are ready to support in this respect, and we are running many projects in investing in protecting living environments, investing more than 1 million euro every year in training of our employees, not only in banking technical skills, but also in human and social skills. Also last year, the ProCredit Group supported with more than 500 million euros those perished in the recent flood in Obrenovac and other municipalities. So they are ready to support in this. Of course, they see certain issues in society which must be changed, that we need to be more open to others, to accept any kind of differences such as genders, sexualities, nationalities, because this can make us a better society, and they see that there is much more room to improve in that area. And they see the great human potential in Serbia. young people with good knowledge, with strong technical skills, with good working habits if you put them in the right system and if you provide them with continuous training. Many of our colleagues are working in Frankfurt in the ProCredit holding. They're working in sister banks, and we are very often facing the demand to send more people to support business in other countries and in Germany as well. So as a conclusion, our shareholders see a lot of potential here. They are ready to place more equity in Serbia, and it is on us to use this and to have more investment demands, and they will be ready to support this.
Dan, thank you very much. I understand ProCredit Bank is focusing primarily to SMEs. Maybe we can come back on this a bit later. Yeah. Goran, would you like to say a few? Well,
thank you, Simeon. Good evening, everybody. Your Excellencies, organizers. Actually, when I'm looking, my fellow members of the panel here, I see majority of them are coming from the banking, not majority, all of them are coming from the banking and insurance sector. So I guess I'll be the only one coming really from the trade sector. I had opportunity from the early days of my career to work actually in foreign companies, direct investments in Serbia, mentioning Hotel Hyatt Regency, Procter & Gamble, and now finally I'm with the Hellenic Group. One of the things that I would share with all of you is that basically from all those international companies and the direct foreign investors in Serbia, I guess all of us have a lot to learn. And based on my experience, what I would say is that in Hyatt, I learned how to work. I learned long hours, something that we hear very often these days that people are complaining on. Then from Procter & Gamble, I learned a lot how to structure all this knowledge that I gained in the past. And finally, with Hellenic Petroleum, giving an opportunity to use it in business. Now, during all this process, all these years, what I noticed is that there were many, many lost opportunities, not only in the companies I mentioned, but also in the state of Serbia as well. I guess we were not that smart to learn from the best. We applied something, but not totally. I'll give you an example now coming from the energy sector. We all know that during the season, when we start traveling down to Montenegro or traveling to Greece, we see a lot of trucks passing through our highways and so on. A big number of trucks is going there. A lot of fuel is being consumed. However, so far, nobody has actually applied something that even though from year 2012, we have in the VAT law is the refaction of the VAT. What do I mean? All the trucks and buses passing through the highways of Serbia are actually fueling up in Hungary, just maybe adding some 50 liters of fuel to pass and get out of Hungary, especially on the way to Turkey. And the state of Serbia is that way staying without income. What will happen if we go ahead with VAT refaction would mean that the state would earn on the excises, and I'm talking about 50 or 0.5 almost euros per liter sold, and we know that all the trucks and buses go with 400, 500 liters on one refueling. So if we multiply that out of one truck, the state is staying without some 200 euros times tens of thousands of liters sold in a day. We're talking big money here. And that's something the state of Serbia is staying without. And also the distributors of the oil derivatives are staying without it. Now, what needs to be done is very simple. I mean, it's just a synergy of the Ministry of Transport, Ministry of Finance, Energy, and oil companies are very eager to help in getting that. However, everything stays on the state. So the state has to make bilateral agreements with Turkey, first of all, and basically just copy-paste what's happening currently in Austria, in Italy, I suppose, Giorgio, and the other countries. And that's income from the state, that's revenue for the oil companies working in Serbia, and so on. Another thing why foreign investors invest in any country in this world is because they want to make profit. I mean, let's be fair and say it. They want to make profit. They will choose a country where the whole climate of investment is good. Talking of that, what does a good climate for investment mean? It means good labor. It means professional people working there, and of course, ability to finish their projects on time, not to be delays with the state institutions, and so on. All of you heard about the new regulation in terms of construction law. It's been advertised heavily, started as of 1st of March, 28 days for obtaining a construction permit. Let's see how it will go. It's very good. I'm sure that all the investors are very happy hearing about this possibility. But let's see it really work in Serbia. I suppose it will. We have all big hopes in it. And that the regulations don't get changed very fast. I mean, if you're investing into a country and you want to stay in that country 10, 15, 20 years, you want to know what's ahead of you. And I'll give you one example from the sector I'm currently working in. We had, back from 2009, defined what is the quantity of storage space, or what's the volume of storage space that you need to have in order to do wholesale in the business of oil derivatives. First, it was 2 times 500 liters. Then in year 2011, it went far more. I'll give you one example. And somebody to deal in wholesale in the trade of diesel, he needs a tank or a storage capacity of 5,000 cubic meters. Can you imagine 5,000 cubic meters for diesels? Something that's not maybe helping. On the other side, you have the state implementing the marking of fuels, which is a very, very good initiative, and it's helping a lot for the foreign investors especially, that we have no gray economy in it, and it's something that just started. However, it's not brought to the level of where it was intended to be, and some examples that happened in the past are showing it's a good initiative, however, not completed to the very end. Just to conclude, what we need here in Serbia is, let's say, increase of the whole economy, which will not come in one day. We heard it over the last 20 years. It's something that has a gradual pace and something that needs to develop. But however, what we need is a strong government and the regulations that will help all the foreign investors continue to invest. And what can we do to attract the foreign investors? Well, all of us here, Foreign Investment Council, Greek Association, Greek Hellenic Association, and so on. Other countries have their associations. Basically, we all need to promote. And I see that the state is now doing a good job in promoting Serbia. And more, at least my opinion, is that more and more foreign investors will start coming and investing in this country. Thank you.
Thank you, Goran. Thank you very much. Interesting comments. Frederick, you mentioned in your speech about the microeconomic stability versus attracting investment. We all understand the importance. Can you please elaborate a little bit on this?
In economy, we need confidence. And all the economic agents, either sophisticated or not, know that if the rise of the public debt, the size of the deficit is not under control, at a certain moment, all of us, economic agents, will have to pay the bill. And accordingly, consumption, people prefer to save than consume, and investors wait and see if at what moment it will crash, let's say it like that. And Serbia was on a trend of increasing debt that was simply not sustainable. That's why I mentioned macroeconomic stability as one of our main priority. The government already implemented a certain number of reforms. They as well dealt with IMF, and it's extremely good because there will be a frame on top of the European Union accession path that will normally help everybody to take the right decision and to continue in the right direction. So this is definitely, from our point of view, a very good, let's say, starting point. But I would like to mention this evening something that has started, but that from our point of view of foreign investors is really a key for the coming months in order to assess, let's say, the capability of the government to effectively reform deeply the countries. This is a privatization process. This privatization process, if managed as announced, will lead both to the reduction of the public deficit, because of course, as of today, as we all know, there is a huge volume of subsidies that is going to public companies that are simply not sustainable. It will allow the government to employ better this money that is, as of today, is invested, I'm sorry to say that, but for nothing. And in order to come back on what Jojo was saying, and I was mentioning as well, this is as well a way to build the same level playing field. We are all facing, so in insurance, in bank, in other industries, we are all facing competitors that are obviously not having the same rules than us, because simply they are having subsidies that allow them not to, once again, have the same rule. So a company that is not profitable for years can continue because simply the state is behind him. So this is for us very important. It's extremely difficult to manage and to implement because, of course, there is a social impact on this. But I really think that for the coming months, this is something that is a key for the country, and to see if the government has effectively this capability to deeply reform the country. This privatization process is both the privatization by itself and as well the improvement of the way the public companies are working. Maybe not all of them will be privatized. Some will remain public, and why not, at the end of the day, if they are managed properly. And some will go bankrupt, what is certainly even more difficult than the privatization process itself. This is tough, this is not easy, but I really think it's important. Going forward, in order to have a sustainable growth in the country, the reforms that have already started to be implemented in order to reduce the public deficits, and we all listened to the Minister of Finance that was announcing some first good results of this policy, will hopefully restore the confidence of the investors, both domestic and foreigners. As of today, as a banker, and I'm sure my colleagues could confirm that, I guarantee you that we will be very happy to lend more to corporates. We simply face a terrible lack of projects, terrible lack of good projects, I would say. And this is our bread and butter to lend to the companies. This is the way we are making our profits. So frankly speaking, we'll be very happy to lend more. Simply we cannot today. Either we don't have projects, or either we don't have sustainable projects. So this rebuilding of confidence will come, from my point of view, from this assessment, from this, let's say, perception from the investors that the government is really serious on reforming and really serious on tackling the issue of public deficit and rising debt. Because once again, if we don't have this certainty, simply we will wait and see, and the economy will not start again. We need growth, we need sustainable growth. All of us, and specifically the one like, by the way, all of us in this panel, we are here in Serbia not to export, but to produce for the domestic market. And this, for us to have a profitable business, and we are here for a long period of time. I mean, Société Générale is already 40 years, as I said, in this country. So we are not just coming, to make some money during 2, 3, 4, 5 years and leave. We are here to stay. And in order to stay, we need to be profitable, and we need to have a market that is sustainably growing. So this reform, this macroeconomic stability, is definitely a key, because if we don't have it, at a certain moment, all of us will pay the bill.
Frederick, I cannot agree more with you.
Thank you.
We have to produce wealth for the country and for the companies. This is how the world moves ahead. Philippos, what kind of steps you think that Serbia can take in order to attract more foreign investments, and primarily from Greece, if you can tell us a little more about this?
Yeah. First, I just noticed that Frederick sounded like the Prime Minister. There are no projects. Yes? There's money, but no projects. And I don't disagree. Now, on the issue of attracting more investments, I think, we all talk about this a lot. We all say similar things in different ways. I tried to structure it a bit in my mind before this panel, and I believe that the situation is as follows. The foreign investors are looking from a new destination. They're looking for actually two things. One is no surprises, which is actually this predictability that we constantly mention. And second, a good domestic market, which is either a big, mature market or a market in a country like Serbia, which should be developing and have some growth potential. So this is what the investors want. No surprises and a good market. Some investors in a third category, the ones that are export-oriented and are looking to relocate their production facilities and start producing for other countries, may be interested in other factors like the labor costs, the skills of the labor force, and things like that. But that is, let's say, a special category, so I will focus on the first two. Now, to address the first two issues, I think we need to remember three words: stabilize, harmonize, and grow. We need to stabilize, at least in Serbia at the moment, we need to stabilize the public finances, which Frederick mentioned. We need to harmonize laws with EU standards, and we need to return the economy to a sustainable growth trajectory. This is what we need to do. On public finances, we heard a lot. We cannot exaggerate the importance of addressing the budget deficits that Serbia has been facing in the last few years. Deficits of 6, 7, 8% in the current environment are not sustainable. And, of course, us Greeks know very, very well what can happen overnight and the impact that this can have on the economy, on the whole economy of the country and the people. So the recent developments with the IMF are cause for optimism, together with the fact that the government is showing that there is resolve to take some tough decisions that need to be taken. On the second issue, harmonization of laws with EU standards, the government needs to continue the good progress that is being made at the moment in the negotiations with the EU and all the steps for the EU accession. It's very important for investors to work in an environment which is regulated in a way that they are accustomed with, that they are comfortable with. Now, the third area, the growth and the return to growth, is easier said than done. Okay, it's not easy, especially when at the same time you're trying to address the issue of fiscal consolidation, and most of the traditional major partners of Serbia are currently facing their own problems, be it the Eurozone, be it Russia. But this shouldn't be an excuse for not doing anything. So I think we should at least focus on the things that can be done. There are so many things. How many are the items in the White Book, Frederick?
It's a good question.
Anna knows, maybe.
No, it's about 100 pages, but you don't really need to do anything else. You just need to go through one or two publications like that. There are some business associations, especially the FIC and the AmCham, who are doing an excellent job in terms of advocacy and identifying things that need to be done. I've been here 7 years. Unfortunately, these issues are being repeated every year, and we're not seeing much progress. Let's hope that we will start seeing more progress. I mean, we have become, for example, experts in the banks in NPLs. We meet every week to discuss them, and through that, we see all the problems currently in the judicial system, and how long cases take to go through. So it takes 4 years to enforce a collateral. 2014 was a disaster. We had 6 months where we were looking in which box our cases were because of the court reorganization, and then another 6 months where the courts were not working because the lawyers were on strike. Yeah, so there are a lot of things that we can do here locally, and then we can be ready when the economy overall starts improving. And one last thing that is important always, to keep the existing investors satisfied, because I think we are always the first point of contact for any potential new investor, and we can be the best ambassadors for Serbia.
Thank you, Philippos. Giorgio, as a newcomer, what do you think? I mean, what are your first impressions about the strengths and weaknesses of Serbia as being a destination for foreign investments?
Well, really it's a first impression, but I think sometimes first impression is also the right one. Starting with the strong points, I think skilled and young population is for sure an impression that I have is a strong point. The other strong point is the key geographical position of Serbia, which has been historically so, and it's a matter of fact. Then I noticed that compared with Italy, which I know very well, the labor regulation here is much easier, is much better, is much more liberal, and this is for sure a key point for us in continuing to invest, and a key point for everybody, mostly for those, even more for those coming here to export. I noticed also that the starting process of EU integration in the EU, entering the EU of Serbia, it triggers a lot of enthusiasm and a lot of, let's say, positive pressure on doing things. This is, I think, then the process will be short, long, I don't know, I'm not an expert of this, I know the supposed timing, but I think that's a very positive factor. If this process would not be there, the whole thing there would be less of a goal. If you don't know where to go, you are always arrived, and in this case, if you know where to go, you know how much you have to do. Then also one positive point, which then has is the consequence of a negative effect, that is a number of people which left Serbia in the past, Serbian skilled typically, which went to other countries, are coming back. They bring a lot of experience, and so it seems that Serbia can go down the experience curve in a number of industries very quickly. This is, in my opinion, very interesting. Also in my company, I observe a number of people which have incredible skills gathered in Serbia as a theory, but outside Serbia in the practice, which is the consequence of a problem, but in itself, when they come back, it's a positive side. In terms of point of attention, well, or negative or weaknesses that you want to describe them. I mean, the first and foremost thing which I see is the kind of brain drain, people leaving Serbia. It's impressive how many people I know outside this country which left the country, and the statistics and numbers are in this sense are negative, and both on the total population and on the skilled worker. I mean, basically we are here to serve the domestic market, so the first thing is the number of people living in this country, and then the second thing is the income and the spending capacity of these people. And I think this factor needs to find some correction. I also today participating to the panel on innovation. This is clearly an issue for a number of high-tech innovation-led industries, and this is not easy to tackle, but I think this is really a point of attention. Second point is what I call turnaround of state-owned distressed company, which is not necessarily privatization, as it was said. And this process, if this process is too slow, this is a problem. And I mean, of course, there is a trade-off between, let's say, liberalization and economic and social consequences in both sense. But also for my company, I mean, the clearer is the level playing field, which we were mentioning, the more people we will employ. So for us, waiting to privatize is negative. We would be very, very cautious in progressing, in expanding, because we don't know. We have more uncertainty. So this turnaround process is also something which is being addressed, I understand, but it's complicated. Complicated also in terms of human resource culture, let's say, values that people have. So this has to do also with education. The third point is the complexity of getting up to speed with the European Union, because on the one hand, this process of positive convergence to the EU is very positive. On the other hand, I mean, it's about doing in 10 years or 7 years what the others did in 50 years, which is a huge amount of regulation. And as a foreign investor, we want this to happen, but we also recognize this is a challenge. This is a challenge in terms of really keeping after for the state to all this regulation and on the follow-through. So apparently there is a trade-off. You cannot change 100 law, I mean, like 20 big important laws and follow through all your things in a very, and then pretend that the country comes after you. So this has to be done, but on the other hand, it's very difficult. So this is now on the top of my mind, really, after a short time, so I might have forgotten something, but what I think is I noticed.
Thank you, Giorgio. Then how Serbia can start a new cycle of investments? Can you tell us your views about this? Speak a little louder.
This is a good question, and in general, investments in Serbia, I would say, in addition to the budget deficit and the public debt, is the third biggest economic problem. Because in last 6 years, when crisis started in Serbia, there is the certain process of disinvestments, and companies has been constantly decreasing investments in new technology, new equipment, processes, investments in education and training of employees. And if companies are declining such investments, it means that they are losing their competitiveness. They cannot improve cost efficiency. They cannot improve the quality of services, and in the global and regional arena, competitiveness is weakening. So this is the issue which should be addressed together with other issues which government is dealing with. One way is, of course, through this big public infrastructure investments. We heard yesterday that government is aware of these problems, and let's hope that they can do something in a short period of time, that they can use this available and approve already credit lines, and if they only use this for such projects, benefits can be great and can be felt. Another ways to improve investments is, of course, foreign direct investments, what my colleagues mentioned. And a third way is what I didn't notice, that government is really recognizing how to really support domestic investment, how to support SMEs to invest more in this moment. If you ask banks why the lending market is declining, banks would say there is no good demand, there is no projects, as the Prime Minister said. If you ask SMEs or companies, there is access to credit is difficult, conditions are not good, banks are very conservative. So there is the truth in all this. And if you only look at experience of other countries, they face the similar problems in last couple of years. In USA, in UK, in European Union. But we see that these countries didn't watch these problems from aside, as we have a situation here. According to my impression, government is looking aside how these problems will be resolved. I don't think so that it can be resolved. Maybe it can be resolved in the long run, but as Keynes said, in the long run, we are all dead. So we need to do something now, and the government need to step in now and to do something. If you look into the example of United Kingdom, we would see impressive measures what they introduced to change this situation, to reach this turning point, to improve lending, to establish mechanism how to motivate SMEs to invest more. For example, British government last year declared that they want to make British the best place for running, for starting and running business in the world. They introduced many tax incentives. They changed immigration policy to motivate SMEs to come to the United Kingdom to do business. And also the Bank of England too is stepping in and trying to make SMEs to improve their access to credit, not only through the banking, but through the other channels. Our government should use these examples and introduce different kind of measures. There are very good examples how you can motivate SMEs and other companies to invest more. There's different mechanism of establishing guarantee funds. Then there is the kind of risk sharing among government, companies, and banks. So this is a very simple way of improving situation, and state doesn't need to invest much money into setting such fund, but results can be great. Also, we know that our central bank cannot do the same measures as others because of our specific situation, but through the mandatory reserves, through some changes in risk classification measures, they can boost certain projects, certain investments. They can support maybe more banks who are dealing with SMEs, who are approving more investment loans. And these are kind of measures which, again, doesn't require big investments and big sources. So conclusion is that we cannot solve today problems with old measures. And we also, maybe we don't need to think ourselves. Maybe it's enough just to take some positive examples, and we see that all countries are really creative, and they are taking unprecedented measure in addressing all these problems. And I think that this is very crucial in this moment to boost these domestic investments, because in the situation of austerity measures, which is putting great pressure on consumption, only investments can support GDP growth.
Thank you, Dan. Goran, Giorgio mentioned about the braid rain. Can you comment how this affects the FDI? I mean,
well, actually, I tend to agree with Giorgio said, and that's something that we've been facing years over years in Serbia. We're losing some of our best people. We're investing money in educating those people, and afterwards they leave the country. Why are they leaving? Is it looking for more money, getting a better career somewhere else, or simply they just wanted to leave and to try somewhere else? Today we had a very interesting presentation from Pricewaterhouse about the thoughts of general managers of 80-something companies in Serbia. And what came out of that is something that we all in the management positions of the foreign direct investments know, is that people are somehow linking, or let's say most of the Serbians are linking to get employed in foreign companies. Why? Expecting more money. On the other side, are they ready for it? I would like to mention one person, to quote one person, the ex-CEO of Procter & Gamble, who at one moment said, you can take everything away from me. Take away the assets, take away all the money, take away the factories, the lands, just leave me my people. I suppose, Mr. Kirby, you know who I'm talking about. And afterwards, it turned out that in 5 to 10 years, he could recoup all, and he could have had everything back. That's something that we have to think about here in Serbia. We need to promote our people from within. We need, I heard the other panelists mentioning training. We need to invest into training. ProCredit Bank said you're spending like 1 million euros annually in training. Very supportive, and a bravo for you guys. We have very qualified people here. Minister Vujovic yesterday mentioned about the working morale. It's an old saying in Serbia, nobody can pay me that little as little I can work. I think that's something wrong in the mind of us if we are going to stick in this 21st century with that, because only hard work can bring us to the surface, and if we truly believe in hard work. Also, what the Prime Minister mentioned yesterday is this dual learning. What we are facing today is a lot of young people are, since they do not have jobs, ready jobs after their high schools or colleges, they continue their education, they become masters, doctors, and the Serbia have enough positions to employ all those people. Basically, we're looking to focus on the industry sector. We're not going to have doctors working in the industry sector. We're going to have staff finishing technical schools, eventually gymnasiums, and so on. And they're going to move through the corporate ladder on their way. Another thing that is very important, I suppose, for Serbian employees is promotion from within. Basically, if they see that somebody made a successful career starting at the lowest levels in the company and then becoming one of the executives or middle management and so on, they would definitely believe and stay. And I doubt that that percentage of leaving or the drained brain would continue in that way. I guess we're running out of time, or
Indeed,
you wanted
Goran,
to stop me?
thank you very much.
Yeah.
We are going to have another 5 minutes, very quickly, just 1 minute each for a final round of questions. Frederick, what are the biggest problems in the business environment, and what you can expect?
Even if I have only 1
Yes.
minute, I would like to
Okay.
rebound
Comment
on what was said.
Please.
Maybe to bring some, let's say, positive note on this.
Yes.
I don't fully agree on the fact that supposedly people in Serbia would not be, good workers. I'm working in a company, Société Générale, where we're having very good people. So maybe the question is, how do we manage our people? How do we control the job they do? And what kind of, as you said, by the way, what kind of career paths we're offering them? And we're having very good people in this country. Then, to come back on your point, as I have only 1 minute and no only 30 seconds,
Please.
I would focus only on one point. This is the question of the implementation. And it's coming from certainly two things from my point of view. The first is it's good to have laws, new laws and reforms, and we're expecting that. But these laws have to be discussed with the professional in each field in order to be really adapted to the necessity of each business field. I have to say that the government is having this in mind, but certainly there is space for improvement here when we see some laws that are
Yes.
coming out. The second thing is to have laws that are precise, detailed enough, and with the right bylaws or decrees coming very quickly after, in order not to let some space for strange interpretation to an administration that doesn't have to be nice, always the capacity to implement the law correctly. So we have plenty of examples of this kind of things. And I really think this implementation, Ambassador Kirby was saying follow through, this implementation is certainly, as of today, the main issue for Serbia from FIC point of view.
Thank you, Frederick. Philippos, the recent political changes in Greece, how they can affect the decisions of Greek companies to come to Serbia or, to the region?
Yeah.
1 minute.
Okay. I don't think it will have much of an impact, Simon. After 5 years of going through what we went through in Greece, the companies have become used to changes. They have become crisis resistant, the ones that have remained after 5 years. So I don't think it will make any difference. If anything, sometimes when there are problems at home, it's a catalyst for companies to start looking for markets abroad in order to grow their business. So I don't think it will have that much impact. What I think, however, is important to say again is that there will always be potential investors. The important thing is to make Serbia an attractive destination for them. And one thing I was reading recently was that in the past, in the region, Central, Eastern Europe, or whatever we call it, there used to be 8 countries. Now there are 28 countries in this. The same ones have been split into 28. So we have 28 countries competing with very similar characteristics, and that's why it's extremely difficult to stand out as an attractive investment destination, and you need much more work to do it.
I must admit my feeling from speaking with Greek companies as well. They're trying to find new markets these days because of the situation in Greece. So maybe we can see, a few more companies coming to Greece. So Giorgio, you mentioned about the court cases, about the judicial system. Can you just, in a nutshell, say your views?
Yeah, very quickly. My point is that to improve the speed of the court cases is in fact a strategic decision. Seems to be a quite tactical thing, but affects in the end economic growth. Why? Because I see it not only from the insurance point of view. If courts are slow, uncertainty is high. Uncertainty is high means that each and every situation where we have to insure some liability, which is the motor, which is for everybody, and the general liability, which is for professional firms, physicians, and any new startups, because protects the firm, is more expensive. Being more expensive drains more resources from other costs and from other investment. And by the way, for a given budget of insurance spending, which a family or a company has, if you spend more in the liability part, you spend less elsewhere. So you don't insure yourself against natural catastrophe. For example, if you do that, the uncertainty in your, let's say, future existence in the case of the floods, which we perfectly know in Serbia, they were very, very insured to a very little extent, is they do bigger damages. They interrupt the country, they do a macroeconomic damage, as it was the fact. And in the end, all this increases the cost of capital that we want or we charge to invest in a country. So the point for me is it's a really key point for the government to keep investing as they are doing in speeding up the justice and giving certainty. This is a part of what was said, and it's worth working here also with technology. That's it.
Thank you very much. Then, what do you think about the commercial banks, how they can play a role in developing the investments here?
It's a bit pity because we are finishing now because audience is now here and
yes.
Banks they have to continue to improve processes. They have to continue to offer less paperwork to clients, to offer more information, to offer better advice to clients, to understand their business model and to be supportive in their investment demands. And this will contribute a lot that clients are more confident when they decide to go into investment.
Thank you very much. Goran, would you like to make a final comment about labor relations or whatever you wish?
Well, basically, just a message to all the future foreign investors. Serbia has excellent employees, has very qualified employees, and the foreign investors should actually take advantage of it. But however, that should not be the reason for coming to Serbia. as we heard tonight, there are much more reasons, among all, its profit. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I would like to thank everyone, Frederick, Philippos, Giorgio, Dan, Goran. Thank you very much for your attendance and patience. We'll go to the next panel. Thank you.